Hey guys, yeah, it's been a while. Just thought I would do a stash update on the latest acquisitions over the last few months. I think the last time I did one was about 7 months ago. Wow, that's gone bloody fast. It's just been a case I've had a lot of distractions in life, sort of taking my time up. I'm still dealing with mental health recovery. And unfortunately, there is a bit of a family crisis in regards to my mother's care at the moment. So hopefully, my brother and I will get that sorted out soon. So, because as you're not aware, she's suffering from dementia. So we are trying to get together a care plan for her because it's getting a little bit too much for my stepfather now. So hopefully we get that well sorted out in due process. So that's been taking a lot of our time up. So I've got a bit of space for myself today. So I thought, why not do a little bit of content? Because I haven't done much of that myself, although I've posted a few videos of clips I've seen and stuff, in regards to my aviation interest. But yeah, so we'll get the dices going because obviously the last video I did about a model was the 124th Spitfire I've got in the stash, so I should include that in this video. Anyway, the first off the bat is an old Matchbox kit because obviously what I'm thinking of still doing is getting the air group together for the old R09 Art Royal from the 70s. And believe it or not, although it's an export version, it's very much in the same vein as an HAS Mark 1. It's the Westland Wessex HU5 HAS 31, which is this one here. This one I've got second hand, hence the slightly torn box. I mean, some of these old Matchbox kits are still out in the market, and I mean, admittedly they are a little bit dated for their time, but they still hold up well. And they did some interesting sort of property and matter. I just better put the TV on. I forgot to put the TV on you guys. Sorry about that. So Jerry's doing his evening summer show, reading music because we're getting a harvest moon tonight. Apparently, a big pink moon. So keep your eyes on that. But as I say, this is going to be converted into an HAS Mark 1 because obviously got the two options there, and this one has got the more stubbled nose of the HAS Mark 1, although this was an export version of the same aircraft, Mark 31. So I've got to do some research into that. I've got a decal sheet for the air group of Art Royal, so in 1/72nd, which actually is very hard to get hold of nowadays. So I managed to snap one up, so we've got that some time ago. So that's that, and obviously we've got another Matchbox kit. Now I had previously built this kit many moons ago, long before I started this channel, and it was one of my first attempts at a biplane, and it didn't come out too bad actually. It's the Armstrong Whitworth Siskin Mark 3A. It's got the markings of, hang on, let me have a look here, 29 Squadron and number 32 Squadron. Now 32 Squadron, believe it or not, was the unit that the late Air Ace Douglas Bader was flying in the Bristol Bulldog when he had his accident at Woodley. So, needless to say, I think decals may be a bit gone on this. I don't know. I've had a look at them. They look okay, but I don't think I'm going to bank on them. So I'm going to see if I can get some aftermarket decals for this 32 Squadron. But yeah, it's not a bad little kit actually. I mean, there's not much on the interior. Because you can put the pilot in and so forth, and you can't see much of the cockpit detail, but it builds up into a nice little kit, to be honest with you. So there you go. And this is another old classic from Airfix. In fact, this aircraft was featured on the film Murphy's War with Peter O'Toole, if some of you remember. It is, of course, the old Grumman J2F6 Duck. Now, I am going to see if I can source some decals because I know there was a modeler who'd actually converted this into the aircraft that was featured in the film Murphy's War. So that might be an option. I did have two of them, but unfortunately I had have a bit of a cull on my stash due to money constraints. So yeah. But I managed to still keep one, so there you go. Otherwise there would have been a lot more in this video of kits than I've got now, although I've still got a fair amount, so we'll get through that anyway. But it's got such a lovely sound to it, that rasping Wright Cyclone engine, and it's an unusual looking aircraft, you know. Yeah, why not? And I know Kermit Weeks has got one in his inventory as well. And talking of another aircraft from Ark Royal, I did have this one in my stash but sold it, but I managed to get another one in. In fact, it was one of the last at a very cheap price, because I think they've only just reissued this again, but they've also done a 1/48 version by Sword. It's the Fairy Gannet AEW Mark III. The 48th version does look fairly good, and it probably would look well alongside the two that Airfix have done, which is the AS Mark 1 and obviously you've got the COD variant, which has just which Airfix just released recently. So yeah, I'm going to get an AS Mark 1 from Trumpeter if I can at some stage, and see if I can get some of these tanks for the COD version. So yeah. So yeah, that led to the old Ark Royal stash. And then talking of naval aircraft, this is a classic. I got this one for about 11 quid, believe it or not, because the box was gone, the decals are a bit gone, but I thought, well, I'll snap it up anyway. It's the Fairy Swordfish Mark 1. Now you've got the option of doing a pre-war scheme, incidentally off the previous Ark Royal 3, and then obviously you've got the camo version which was used on the raid on Toronto, which is depicted in the box art here. But as I say, I'm going to get some aftermarket decals for this, to be honest with you, because I mean the state of the decals in this are covered in mould, so they must have had it in a damp place or something. But the kit itself is in fine nick. I mean the level of detail on it, wow, especially for the interiors, amazing. So yeah, look forward to building that. This one is one of Airfix Vintage Classics range. In fact, it was the first twin rotor helicopter in Royal Air Force's inventory. It's the Bristol 192 Belvedere. There's still a few about, but they're getting fewer and fewer, because obviously they're coming towards the end of their production batch run. And they were initially released last year, so I might get another one, because I've got an upgrade set from, can't remember the seller. I've got it on the box here. It's just got the personal address on here, but I'm not going to put it on there, and I'm going to cover that. It's an upgrade set to make it into an HC Mark 1 with the correct filters and air vents and undercarriage. Because obviously this one was released at the time the prototype was doing trial runs before it entered RAF service. It's got the new winglets on it, it's got the new air filters on it, and obviously the upgraded camouflage as well. If I take it out of the box, you'll get a rough idea of what I mean. There you go. That's all your upgrade sets that go onto the actual original Airfix kit, because you've got the correct tail planes at the back, you've got the correct tail skids, the carriage door, and you've got the correct air filters, which you've got on the top there. This guy does also the rotor sets, and as you can see here, yeah, it's actually 3D printed by a guy called the Dorset Printman. Now he's actually on eBay, so look him up. He only does that. He does scale ships, 3D printed ships, such as the Ark Royal 4, which was the last flat top we had. It's aircraft as well. Admittedly, they're not cheap. But he also does HMS Fearless, he does HMS Hermes, I think he does the Queen Elizabeth as well, in various scales. and I think they're made to order, I'm not sure, but check him out. And obviously he does the upgrade set for the Belvedere. He does even the rotor set, so I've also managed to get myself a mast to go on the front canopy for it as well. So when I build this, I'm going home on it, I tell you. But as I say, I'm going to see if I can get hold of another one and another upgrade set from the Dorset Printman as well, before they all go out of production again. So yeah. The next one I did have in a stash before, and I've probably featured this, but sold it on, but I've managed to get hold of another one again. In fact, I was a little bit torn about selling this, and I thought, no, hang on to it, because obviously it's a special hobby kit and it's a limited run. That is, of course, Saab's very first jet aircraft, the J21AL. That's Saab, was it Saab JA21R, which was developed from the prop version, pusher version, which was the J21. So I'm glad I got that. I'm thinking of getting the Tunnan next, and then the Lanson, and then obviously the two versions of the Viggen and the Draken. So that'd be a nice little sort of display. I might even get a Vampire and do it in Swedish markings as well. So there you go. Slight change here. This is a book I managed to get hold of for about a £5 on eBay, believe it or not, because I'm hoping to get back into my armour. This one's of the Challenger 1 and 2 Osprey book, MBT and various other variants. Fantastic books, these. I mean, you've got a step-by-step guide of all the builds and conversion sets that you can get to model the various kits in this book. So yeah, I didn't even know they had a sort of a gun version of that. So there you go, you learn everything every day. And as I originally told you a few weeks back, I've got this bad boy, the 124th Spitfire Mark 8. Not too dissimilar to the Mark 9, except one of these versions I think had a slightly different upgraded engine, air intake set, maybe more armour in the cockpit, because it was basically developed for hot and high conditions, and a lot of them were based out in the Pacific War as well. And this one's depicting an aircraft on the front of the Royal Australian Air Force, which I am sorely tempted to do actually, but you can do it in a Burma SAAC version or US overall silver version. But at some stage I'll do an in-box review of this, guys, and it is mightily impressive, I must admit. Kudos to Airfix, because the detail in it is fantastic, especially around the engine. Beautiful kit. I keep looking at it. It's just my first 124th kit I've ever bought, and I love it. I really do. When I get around to building it, I don't know, that might be for when I retire, but I'm not letting go of that big puppy, I tell you. And going back to civil aircraft, I managed to get a couple of 747-400s in. Unfortunately, one of them I had to sell off due to, again, financial constraints, but I thought I'm not going to get rid of this one because I want to keep hold of it, because I know Revell will probably stop running this kit again, and it's a very popular one when it comes out on the market, because I know all you guys love jumbos. And it's the Revell 400 Big Ed, Ed Force 1 version, which sadly the real aircraft recently got scrapped. Yeah, I'm not doing it in this scheme. Obviously it's going to be a BA bird. I might try and get hold of another one, because I want to, or two more if I can, and do them in both. Well, actually, how many were there in the retro schemes? There was 3 of them, wasn't there? Yeah, I might get 3 more if I can. Do one in the standard BA scheme before it was retired, one in the BOAC scheme, retro scheme. You got the Negus one, and then obviously you have the Landor version. So if I can, I will get hold of 3 more versions. So we shall have to wait and see. Anyway, and then obviously this was one I departed with. Yet again another jumbo. I did pay through the nose for this one, because obviously this one is getting rarer and rarer now. It's the prototype that was brought out on the 50th anniversary, and it depicts a 747-100. Lately, I'm not going to do it in this scheme. I'm going to do it in a Boac scheme. I did have another one which I was going to do as Clipper Ocean of the Seas, which, as you know, was unfortunately bombed out of the sky over Lockerbie. If I can get hold of another 100, I'm going to be depicting it as that, but I was a bit of an idiot when I sold the kit. I forgot to take the decal sheet out. Lo and behold, I can't get hold of it anymore. So I did find them in an earlier Slark Pan Am scheme for the aircraft I wanted to pick, so if I can get hold of that, I will. Because that was going to be one of my first projects when I got back to building properly. But as I say, I did pay through the nose for this because it's gone ridiculous money now. Although some of the old Airfix kits are still about, so I might grab one of them. But yeah, I saw this, I thought, well, I had a bit of extra money in my pocket, so I'll push the boat out and got it. Would you blame me? Anyway. And then getting back to military aircraft again, this one is one that actually is still fairly available. I think it was released latter part of last year as part of the Vintage Classics range. It is the original prototype of the Harrier, the P1127. I might get another one and depict it as a Kestrel, because obviously this one is depicting the very first prototype with a big long probe. I did see a resin kit of the Kestrel, but I think that one went fairly quickly. But I want to sort of get a line of Harriers and do each aircraft throughout its sort of service history, as it were, like GR1, the 2C, T4, and then the latter variants such as the Harrier GR3, and then obviously we had the Sea Harrier FRS 1 and 2. And then obviously they had the two-seat version, is it the T5 or T6, I think. I know Airfix brought one out for a short time, and then obviously the GR5 and GR7. So we shall see in the 88B, A and A, you know, and obviously what the Spanish called the Matador. And I might even do a GR1 in the, I think it was Singapore Air Force markings, if I can get hold of one. But anyway, enough said. And this is one of my favourite aircraft. Again, it's an Airfix kit. This one's quite rare because obviously it's been reissued. And this was actually the original twin rotor blade version of the Hurricane, the Mark 1. But it's in the markings of Treble 1 Squadron, which was the very first squadron to actually have the Hurricane in operational service. I think it was back in 1937 or 38. Again, I saw this at a cheap price and snapped it up, but they also do depict it as a version in the Belgian Air Force when obviously the Low Countries got invaded in 1940, around about 85 years ago. So yeah, that's a favourite of mine, and I did get another one actually, and this one is depicted in the BEF service as well in France with the squadron. Hang on a minute, let me have a little look here. I think it's number 1 Squadron, 67 wing Berry and Assas, Northern France, Spring 39. So yeah, I'm aiming to get one that was during the Battle of Britain as well as the Battle of France. So I think this is the first year before the invasion. This was during the Phoney War. This one was in existence. And I think there's been a book written by the author. I've got it in my book library. Where is it called? I'm trying to see now. Oh, never mind. I'll probably mention it in another video when I get around to building this anyway. So there you go. And my last civil airliner. It's a classic again. This was from the original classic airliner series that Airfix did at the time, back in the day in 1144. It's the Vickers Vanguard. I've not only got one kit in here, but 2. So I'm going to do one in the BEA Red Tail, and then obviously I've got this, what's the other one? The one with the flag on the back, which is the blue tail. I forgot what they called that scheme. Speed Jack scheme, that's it. Because I've got markings for both. I did have one in the BEA Red Tail, but I sold that one on. Again, it was a case of needs must, but I was determined to hang on to these two. So I've got 2 for 1 in this box, so that's nice. I didn't get it at a bad price from the seller either, only 17 quid, so that wasn't bad. And this is an old classic Airfix kit. It's an aircraft I've never had in my stash, but it's one I've sort of had on my wish list. It was the first jet bomber, and it is of course the BAC Canberra B1 Mark 6. It's possibly going to need a lot of work done in it to improve the cockpit, and obviously this was in the age when they did raised panel lines, so it's going to need to be rescribed. What markings I'm going to do it in, I haven't made my mind up, because there's a host of aftermarket decals out there, and I know there's some aftermarket sets to sort of boost the kit up as well, so that one is a future project. And then obviously I've got another aircraft. This one was the most widely known aircraft during the Battle of Britain. It's the Spitfire Mark 1A in 1/72. Because what I want to do is collect most of the aircraft that were involved during the Battle of Britain. Because this year is 85 years since it happened. And God rest his soul, my dad would have been 85 this year, had he still been alive. Because he was born in July the 14th, 1940. Which was the very first day that the battle sort of came about. So he was born on that very day. It might be a little tribute to him, actually. This is in the markings of, is it 610 Squadron? Number 3 group, Biggin Hill, July 1940. DWK, it's the most photographed Spitfire during the Battle of Britain. So yeah, and I've got another vintage classic jet from the cold era at Warrior. I've had this one before, but I sold it on, but I saw one at a good rate, and I thought, do you know what, rather than get the Matchbox kit, I'll get this one, because it comes with the aftermarket for the cockpit. It's all resin based, so you've got a nice lot of detail there. It is of course the Hawker Hunter T7 by Extra Kit. It's a lovely kit. I think it's initially released through Hannons, and there's still a few about on eBay, and I thought I need a Hunter in the stash. I did have the original Airfix FGA Mark 9, but I've had to sell that on, so I'll probably get another one of them at a future date to go alongside this. So there you go, lovely kit, another lovely aircraft, and it was my dad's favourite. This is an old classic Airfix airliner. Well, in fact, I was a bit mistaken when I said I hadn't got any more Airfix kits in airliners. So yeah, I forgot about this one. Sorry about that, guys. This is the old pocket rocket, as we used to call it, the BAC 111. In fact, my mum and dad went to I think it was Gran Canaria on one of these with British Caledonian, but I'm going to do this one as a BA bird, because originally I was going to do a series of airliners, all the aircraft that British Airways ever used throughout their history, dating back to the separate interns of BEA and BOAC. So that's one of them, and with the Boeing Clipper coming back out, needless to say, I want to get hold of that as well. So there you go. Now, going back onto a different genre, which is cars, most specifically sports cars, I was so pleased that Tamiya reissued this kit. It's a classic rally car. I think it went around about 3 or 4 championships in the 70s. It's of course the Lancia Stratos Turbo with the old Alitalia scheme. It's quite a basic kit, but I just love this colour scheme. It's just so classic from that era. The driver, not bad. But it does look fairly sort of easy kit to sort of put together, very much a shake and bake kit, which to me I'm very much known for. So yeah, managed to get hold of that, and I'm not getting rid of that ever. And this one I've sort of been umming and ahhing about for a while, and I know Paul Breton recommended this one. It's of course the Porsche Tart, which is getting another one biting me, which we reissued. And they're getting rare. They are getting harder and harder to get hold of, I think. I know Revell do a version, but this is the better of the two. It's the Porsche Turbo RSR Type 934 Jägermeister. Classic GT car of a classic time, and I think this was raced around about the late 70s, early 80s. You can get the other green version, which I might try and get hold of because that one's getting pretty rare again. And Revell's Dubonnet one, I think. So yeah, I'm pleased I got that. Really am, because it does look a lovely kit. And if you remember at my old place, I'm going on to something sci-fi now. From my favourite sort of film series, of course it's Star Wars. And at one time I had every Bandai Star Wars kit you could ever think of at my old place, but obviously once I moved I had to sell them all off, which I regret now. And I did have this at the time, and I've managed to get hold of one again at fairly around about 35 quid. It's the 1/144th AT-AT, and the detail on that is beautiful. And obviously you get a diorama base, but I'll probably end up making my own base, and I might get one of those little star things so though it's sort of flying around the legs from that scene of Empire Strikes Back. So yeah, I'm glad I got hold of this beautiful kit, because a lot of them are going crazy prices now. Anyway, set of figures. I had it in my stash once before but sold it on, and I've got it back again because this really is going to be my tribute to my granddad, because he was involved in the Battle of the Somme, Passchendaele as well, and he was gassed twice apparently, but he survived the First War, unfortunately, unlike most of his chums, unfortunately. It's this set by Masterbox. It's the British infantry before attack, World War I era. I just think it's a brilliant set. And obviously with that you've got the trench there as well, for both the walls as well as the figures. So that would be a good basis for a diorama actually, and it'd be a little tribute to my granddad. So there you go. And this one's a recent release. Airfix used to do it, but a little bit crude. Azure have just done it. I've actually just released this subject, and it was used during the Phony War, and obviously with the invasion of the Low Countries. It wasn't very successful, and a lot of them got downed. It was, of course, Azure's 172nd Fairy Battle, and this is in the Expeditionary Force version. I've had a look at it. It's got some lovely detail on the interior, as opposed to the old Airfix release. They do other versions. I think they do a Belgian Air Force version, and you have the choice of 3 versions in this one. I might well do an inbox review of this at some stage, but as I say, and Trumpeter, believe it or not, I've just recently released a 1/48th version of this, so I won't get my hands on that one. Because obviously I'm sort of going to do a series of British bombers from the Second World War and throughout Bomber Command, and I think this would be a good addition to that stash. So there you go. And talking of that, I've got another one which was a reissue, which I was pleased to hear they were bringing back out last year. There's still a few around, which is good news. They did bring out a sort of Coastal Command version, or you could have it as an airliner from BOAC. Now that one's getting harder to find, but thankfully last year they reissued the Mark V variant of it, and it's the Armstrong Whitworth Whitley. And this baby I'm not letting go of. It's a beautiful kit. I was quite surprised how big it is. It's almost the size of a Lancaster with a wingspan. And the length of the actual fuselage, but it was also later used for dropping troops and troop training as well. And as I say, it was used by Coastal Command and also used for BOAC for their clandestine missions through to Sweden or whatever it was they used them for. So I might try and get hold of the Mark 8 as well, but if I do, I will probably do it as a BOAC version. So yeah, but I'm glad I got it. The next one, I got this one for about £27 on eBay. It's the most well-known bomber of the Second World War. Of course it is, the Lancaster B1 Mark III. And the reason I got this one is because of this scheme, which was going to be used for the Tiger Force had they not used the atom bomb. But obviously the scheme was used during the late sort of 40s as well, before the Lincoln came in to replace it. You can do it in an earlier version during the Second World War, but I think I'm going to get another version, which is the Mark II, because unfortunately I sold that one on. That's getting harder and harder to find, and I've just seen one on there for about £30, so I may well order that one in for next month. So yeah, and obviously the Dambuster variant's very much in existence with Airfix. To be honest, out of the two, I don't know what the Hasegawa kit's like. Fairly good, I think, but that's very hard to find now. But there's the old rail kit, which it's okay, but I wouldn't say it's a good kit of the rank. But the Airfix ones are the best you can get if you want a 1/72 accurate kit of the Lancaster. And obviously this is my favourite aircraft of World War II. And funnily enough, about a month ago, I had the BBMF Lanc doing some circuits around here. So yeah, that woke up to the sound of Merlin engines. Now, and that way to wake up on a Sunday morning. So there you go. And this, of course, is a kit I've had in before. They're still about, thankfully. Italy still have them in their stash. I was worried they were going to take it out of production, but thankfully I think they've reissued it again, so it must be a good seller of theirs. And compared to the old venerable Airfix kit, to be honest with you, the surface detail is much better. The interior detail is superb. It is, of course, the Sterling B Mark III. This was the first four-engine heavy bomber of the Second World War. And I just had to get it, to be honest with you. So I'm hoping to get the Wellington B Mark I, which Airfix just recently reissued. And the B Mark II is getting harder to find. That's the one with the Merlin engines, although you might possibly be able to get the old Revell kit, but it's not and nowhere near up to the standard of the Airfix kit, especially with the internal detail it's got on it. But this one, out of the two, the Airfix and this one, unless Airfix have got some plans next year to get the Sterling retooled, this is the best one you can get hold of at the moment, I grant you. And I've seen a few of these built up. They're beautiful. Right, final two subjects. And I've had these in before. Again, it's part of the old Ark Royal group. This one, I was lucky in getting hold of this for about 25, because this one is getting harder to find now. It's Airfix's original retool of the McDonnell Douglas Phantom FG1. They have now reissued the Phantom in the FG1 FGR2 version. That's around about £33. I did pay around about 31. Was it 25? No, it was 25 for this one. Won this one on auction, because obviously this is an essential if you want to do the old air group with Ark Royal. They have brought out the option in the new kit to do it as an FG1, obviously with the bicentennial sort of roundel, and then obviously got the markings on the nose. But obviously I shall do this as the latter scheme before Ark Royal retired, when it had the actual carrier's crest with the two sort of red, blue and white cheek lines down the nose, because I've got it in that decal set I mentioned. So there you go. And then finally, this one's getting rarer to get hold of. is this one. That was its stablemate on the Ark, the Blackburn Buccaneer S2C. I might try and see if I can get a hold of another one before they're all gone out of existence, because I want to do one that was based with 800 Squadron on Eagle, which was our Royal sister ship. Again, this is a superb kit. The 1/48th kit, apparently it's just as good. I might try and see if I can get an S2B Air Force version. There is one or two I've noticed in the old Granby scheme, which are going for about 24 quid. I might snap one of them up as well. So there you go. But it's a super kit, super kit. So there you go. That, my guys, is my update as regards my stash for the time being. Yeah, that's it. Sorry it's been a while, but as I say, life gets in the way sometimes. But hey, you know me, as soon as I get the chance, I'll give you a stash update. Obviously, whilst I'm living here, I can't get any of these built. But at some point in the future, I will get back building. So until then, I'll probably just do inbox reviews and then just stash updates for now and again. Anyway, take care of yourselves, get kit crazy, happy modelling, and I'll speak to you soon. Cheers.